So rumor has it that a lot of mysterious disappearances are associated with this tunnel. We're gonna go and check it out and see if we can figure out what's going on. Nope. Come on. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Horror Movie Syllabus. I'm Professor Victor and I'll be your host as we explore all of the essential, noteworthy, interesting, and notorious modern horror films. If you're new to the Horror Movie Syllabus, I recommend you take a look at our introduction video. There's a link to that in the description below and it'll give you an idea of what we usually do at the Horror Movie Syllabus, which is look at a particular subgenre of horror. But today we're doing something completely different. Today, we are going to look at a specific movie that has been recommended by you guys. So those of you who've been hanging out at the Horror Movie Syllabus know that we do recommendations in the comments quite a bit. Those of you who watch the videos for a long time will share your own opinions, your own recommendations for other movies in the comments. And a lot of the times I've seen those movies, sometimes I haven't. And when I haven't, I put them down on a to-watch list. I've been saying this to you guys for a while, and it's a literal list. In fact, I decided to go ahead and take that list and post it up on the website, horrormoviesyllabus.com, so you guys can see the movies that I have not seen that you guys have recommended on one list. And I thought, you know what, it'd be fun to go ahead and start tackling some of the movies on this list. And why don't I talk about them with you guys? Share with you my thoughts on them after watching one of them. It's a little bit different than what we normally do, as you guys know. And it's something that I don't think we're necessarily going to do every single movie that's been recommended. This is not going to suddenly become a channel where I just review movies that have been recommended to me. I don't want to change the format that much, but I think, you know, every other month or so, we'll pick a movie off the list and take a look at it. And then I'll let you know what I think of it, its strengths, its weaknesses, and frankly, whether or not I think it should have gone on the syllabus. And so I thought that would be a fun thing to share with you guys, especially because these recommendations came from you. Now, the first movie that I decided to talk about today is The Tunnel. Hence the silly headgear, which frankly I can turn that light off. The Tunnel is a movie that got recommended multiple times, not just in the comments, but in my regular life as well. I've been hearing about The Tunnel quite a bit. So in my mind, it's the most recommended of the movies. So I figured that's a good place to start. Let's start with that one because that one seems to be very, very popular. So that's the movie that we chose to go with first for no other reason other than, again, it seems like it had been recommended by multiple times, including by multiple of you in the comments. So The Tunnel was the choice. And The Tunnel, if you're not familiar with it, is a mockumentary / found footage horror movie from Australia about a news investigator and her crew that go and explore these underground tunnels in Australia, ostensibly to explore why the government is not tapping into water reserves in there to solve water issues, and why homeless people have gone missing in these tunnels. And of course, you know, hijinks abound as they explore these tunnels. And I don't want to spoil anything for you, but suffice to say that the tunnel has its share of interesting shenanigans going on in the tunnels themselves. The movie is an interesting take for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that it's an Australian horror film. And if you saw our video about Australian horror, you know that they make great horror movies, and I'm a big fan of Australian horror. I'm a real sucker for it. I really enjoy it. I wouldn't say that every Australian horror movie is a home run, but I have yet to find one that I thought was bad. Not that I've seen every one, of course, but and this is no exception. I do not think that The Tunnel is bad by any stretch of the imagination. Quite the contrary, in fact. Now, the movie is also both a found footage and a mockumentary movie. And to be fair, the line between mockumentary and found footage is often very, very blurry. And I think that this one probably leans heavier into the mockumentary subgenre because of the format of it. To me, the mockumentary really is set up like a documentary and is focused more on that documentary format, whereas the found footage movie is more like footage that was found by somebody who went missing or got lost or something like that. But this movie does have heavy elements of both in there. to its benefit. I do think, for the most part, to its benefit. We'll get to that in a second. But I do think that both the blend of both mockumentary and found footage is done really, really well here. It's very effective. It's very believable in how it's presented. It's done really, really well in that sense. The benefit of doing it in that way is that you get the typical tension and excitement and scares of the found footage movie, but you can use the mockumentary format to kind of give the essential details, the exposition, if you will, to the audience that they might need in order to follow the story along. And this was key for me with this movie because as an American, I don't know anything about Australian politics. So I'm ignorant to that stuff. So this movie, using the mockumentary format, having the news broadcast stuff at the beginning, helps to set up the political situation with the water issues and the government and their inability to do stuff and their tight-lippedness, the homeless problem. All that stuff gets set up in the beginning in a way that doesn't feel so exposition-y. It doesn't feel clunky because it makes sense for the mockumentary. Not only does it give you that essential information, but it also helps set up your protagonists and explains their strong rationale or strong motivation for being down there and continuing to be down there. It's always one of the troubles of a found footage movie is explaining the motivations of the characters. Why are they still there? Why are they still filming? This movie, better than many, gives you that motivation. Is it rock solid? Is it 100% convincing? No, not really. There are still moments in this movie where you would think, drop that camera and run. But better than most movies, it gives you an explanation for why these people, and the woman in particular, the main girl in particular, are so hell-bent on being down there and trying to film and trying to explore. That motivation is key to helping immerse you in the reality of the situation. Also, the mockumentary sets up a really good mystery. There's a question set up in this mockumentary right at the beginning. Why did the government stop doing this? Where are these people going? What is happening? And it has both your protagonist and you as the viewer going in to explore this mystery and trying to find a solution to it. I thought that was very effective. And so it dovetails or segues nicely into the found footage part of it, because the found footage part is them trying to solve a mystery and you want them to solve that mystery. So you're right there along for the ride. Very, very effective. Very solid premise, very solid execution of that premise. Another thing that sets this movie a little bit apart from the rest of the found footage mockumentary style movies is just how well it's made. In particular, it's shot rather well. And that's key for two reasons. Number one is just makes it easier to watch. You've seen found footage movies, I'm sure. They vary in quality. Sometimes they're just really damn hard to watch. Even the ones that are good, sometimes are just hard to watch. But this one is actually shot rather well. And the reason why is because the person filming it is, of course, one of the characters in the movie. He's the cameraman for the news broadcast, but he's also a cameraman in real life. So they got a real life cameraman to play the cameraman who's actually acting as the cameraman. So not only is the footage good because it's done by a professional, in story, it's being done by a professional. So there's a in-story explanation for why the footage looks better than, your standard teenagers walking through the woods type thing. I really appreciated that little extra to try to help sell the story, to explain why it looks a little bit better than the average found footage would, because you've got a professional behind the camera. And I do like that they use real world settings. They use real tunnels along with other locations to very good effect. The location is done really, really well. It's used really well. They take advantage of the creepiness of it, the darkness of it, the twists and turns, the tightness of it. All of that stuff works really, really well to add that level of claustrophobia and dread that these kind of movies frankly need in order to be successful. And this one has that in spades. So again, using your location really to your full advantage, and using your, not only just the video quality, but the sound quality as well, by having an explanation for that. Everybody's mic'd up. Everybody's got their, they've got their professional equipment. All of that stuff works to give you a movie that looks good and is shot well and really kind of helps you get into that atmosphere. Now, we've talked quite a bit about how this blend of mockumentary and found footage has worked so well to make this movie as good as it is, kind of set it apart a little bit. It's not the first movie to blend these two things together. As I said, mockumentaries in general tend to be a blend of found footage and mockumentary. This one does it in a way that still felt fresh. And I don't know if it's because it's Australian or if it's the setting or if, again, it's the quality of it. There's a lot of ingredients going into this that are good that might help explain why this movie feels a cut above the average found footage or mockumentary movie, but it really is better than those average movies. The drawback to it is that by using that mockumentary setup and that framework of the mockumentary, kind of going back to the mockumentary so every so often away from the found footage, is that it kind of spoils the movie a little bit because you kind of know some characters are going to survive because they're talking in the mockumentary. And that maybe was a bit of a misstep. As much as I like the mockumentary framework and as much as I think it makes this movie stand out and makes it better, that is a bit of a bummer because I knew a couple of characters were not going to die because I'd seen them in the mockumentary part at the beginning talking in retrospect about these events. While I said it really enhanced the mockumentary aspect of it, it did undercut the found footage a little bit because I knew some people were safe-ish. So that was a little bit of a bummer, a little bit of a critique, but again, a minor one overall because overall I still think it was the better decision to blend the mockumentary with the found footage. And even though this winds up spoiling the ending a little bit, I do think that the ending overall winds up being better than the average found footage movie. So many of the found footage movies kind of end in a way that is unsatisfying and just kind of abruptly ends. This one, with using the mockumentary format in addition, allows it to kind of wrap up a little bit better. It still maybe has a bit of an issue. If you're looking for complete answers, if you're one of those people, you might still be left a little bit wanting, but I kind of liked the way it ended. I thought that it ended in a way that felt more real and a little bit more earned and a little bit more conclusory than your average found footage movie, even if it didn't give you all of the answers. So that was another plus for me, was that the movie didn't spell everything out, which you can decide for yourself whether or not it's good or bad. I think movies that spell everything out run the risk of demystifying it, and I don't think this movie did that. But I do think that it still gave you an ending that felt like an ending rather than just an abrupt cutoff of a camera. So the $1 million question is it syllabus worthy? And my answer is, for me personally, I would probably put it more in an extra credit category rather than the syllabus proper. And that's less to do with the quality of the movie, which I think is quite good, and more to do with the competition. Because of all the subgenres that I think they would fit into, Australian movies, found footage movies, mockumentary movies, all of those have entries that I think are stronger or that I just like more than this one. So I don't think it would be strong enough to bump any of my selections for the syllabus, but I would probably talk about it in any of those videos as an extra credit movie. And I would be inclined to maybe think about whether or not I could fit into a different subgenre. The current syllabus, I don't know that I can. I don't know that there's any other subgenre that I think it fits into, at least not as well as it would into one of those three. But there is a horror movie supplement that's being worked on as we speak. Will there be a subgenre that could accommodate this movie? Maybe. Stay tuned. Not going to spoil that one for you. But I definitely think that this movie would not be out of place on the syllabus. I don't think it was a ridiculous or inappropriate recommendation for a syllabus. And if it's on your syllabus, totally makes sense. Like I said, it may wind up on the supplement at some point because I do think it's that good. I think it's good enough to make it onto a syllabus, even if it didn't make it onto mine. Now, I want to be clear, the hype around it was a little bit effusive. The fact that it got recommended a lot and, the reviews on it and stuff have been very strong that I had seen made me kind of go in with high expectations. And while I didn't feel let down, I also don't know if it met those super high expectations. So that might also kind of color my decision to not want to bump another movie off the syllabus for it. But I do think that if I was filling out the syllabus from scratch, this is a movie that would be a contender for it, for sure. don't let, overhype diminish the fact that it is a good movie. It's well made, it's entertaining, it's well paced, it's got some good scares in it. Definitely one, if you like found footage and you haven't seen this, if you like mockumentary and you haven't seen this, definitely check this one out because it's one of the better examples of those subgenres. So if you like that, you're probably predisposed to dig this one too. And if you think that found footage is all the same and you kind of don't like the way they end and, a lot of the, hard to believe reasons for keeping the cameras going, stuff like that, this one might be a little bit more easy for you to tolerate than those movies because it does a little bit better job than those at explaining some of those tropes away. Again, it's not perfect. There's still some tropes that you're still kind of going, really? But for the most part, I think it does a better job of giving a real reason for why those things are the way they are. So that is, in a nutshell, my thoughts on the tunnel. Extra credit more than syllabus maybe makes it to the supplement. We'll see. But let me know. Have you guys seen the tunnel? I know some of you have because you recommended it to me. Let me know why you loved it so much. If you recommended it, and if you didn't recommend it and you haven't seen it, check it out and let us know what you think. Of course. But I would love to hear differing thoughts on the tunnel. Anybody out there who didn't like it, didn't think it was worthy of being on a syllabus, let us know that in the comments as well. Let's have a little bit of a discussion, a polite discussion, guys. Let's not fight with each other. Let's keep it civil. But you guys have been great in the comments so far, as evidenced by the fact that you've been making these great suggestions. And keep them coming, guys, because I'll just keep adding to the list. And at some point, we'll probably do more and more of these. But for now, we'll do them occasionally just to break things up a little bit. Now, before I forget, it is time for a horror trivia question, and as you guys know, we like to read a horror trivia pursuit question right here on camera, and then I try to answer it live on camera and see if I can get it right. And I'll give you guys a few seconds to also try to get it right. We're gonna look at the paranormal category on the card, and the question is, what are the names of the twin siblings of Thomason in 2015's The Witch? Haha. I have no idea. I've seen that movie multiple times, and I have absolutely no clue as to the names. I do remember Thomason. I thought that was an interesting name, Anya Taylor-Joy's character. So I remember that name, but I don't remember the name of the kids, the twins. I remember them, but I don't remember their names. And I'm sure they said the names multiple times, and I've seen the movie multiple times, but it's just not there. I just don't have it. And, I guess I'll hazard a guess, and I'm hoping that, you guys are taking this time to figure it out yourselves. This is a little bit of a harder one for me. If they had said who the name of the main character, I would have gotten that, but every other character, I can't remember the names at all. So I'm going to guess that the girl's name was Sarah and the boy's name is Jacob, and I'm just taking shots in the dark. I really have no reason for those guesses other than just that sounds good to me. But let's see how close did I come on this, right? So you guys got your guesses in. Let me know in the comments what you guys said. But the answer to this one is Mercy and Jonas. And I'll be honest with you, even hearing the answers, it doesn't like ring some bell or turn on some light for me where I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I honestly just didn't have that in my head at all. Mercy and Jonas. Did you guys get that right? I didn't get that right. So let me know in the comments below if you guys got that right. Be honest, of course. But if you didn't get it right, what did you guess? Did anybody guess Sarah and Jacob? Did anybody guess that? Jacob, I guess, is kind of close to Jonas. I don't know. Anyways, that's a failure on my part. But let me know what you guys said in the comments below. And thanks, guys, for everything you guys have been doing in terms of recommendations for these movies that we're going to be looking at on the to-watch list, and just hanging out and being supportive of the channel. I really appreciate that. So until next week when we get back to our regularly scheduled programming, class dismissed.